Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Here we are, hump day, halfway through the week now. It's going by pretty quick ever since that eclipse.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of eclipse, a little housekeeping I want to do here. I got an email from an old and dear friend of mine who listens to our podcast on a regular basis, Jeff out in Cape Cod. And
okay.
I'm not going to read you the whole email. He talks about, he has a great name for his dog, by the way. He calls his dog, and it's a beautiful dog.
Really?
He calls his dog.
I saw the picture.
It's called Z-Dog. Hey, get Z-Dog. I love that. And it looks like a great dog. But anything, he's talking about.
The dog sits proper in the front seat of his Jeep. It's just like.
Yeah.
I mean.
He talks about. They were out watching the eclipse on his deck. He says everything started out great until about the point in your podcast where you mentioned the 70 helicopters being strategically deployed closer to D.C. At that point, I lost reception on the podcast. The machine sent a warning about not being able to receive a signal, so I turned it off, waited a couple of minutes, the old reboot thing, then turned it back on. Same thing. Other functions worked okay, but not the podcast. Now, I got to tell you, it worked fine here. When we posted it, it was 100%. So I thought maybe the government jammed your podcast when you started giving out secret military maneuvers over the air. But we weren't the only ones doing this. We got it from a report from Channel 5, I believe, in Philly. And but you got to wonder, Bill.
Well, we speculated.
We did speculate, but you got to wonder. Nobody talked about those 70 helicopters other than the station in Philadelphia, and even that story kind of faded really, really fast. So,
well, nobody talked about the tanks but us, and then you put the two together, and then you add that little tidbit, which, that's just, it's a tidbit that's just that, a tidbit. Mm-hmm. And that was Dover, which is not too far from there. And I'm going like, well, that's where they house a lot of those C5 Galaxies, which they're getting ready to retire anyway. But yeah, we still use them. And if we had to deploy some hardware really fast, that's where, a lot of it would come from.
Well, our friend Jeff, who obviously is, I'm glad he's out there because he's keeping us, and well-informed on stuff like that. We don't hear the other end, really. Although I do listen, when we do a show, many times I listen to the show as a listener just to make sure it's up to specs, And I'm sure you do too, Bill, our show.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know why I don't write or call. Do you write or call the show?
No, because I know the guy who does the show, and
you know him personally.
I do, I really do.
Yeah. So you know the host.
Yes, but it's nice to know, Jeff. It could be just the fact that I don't know. Maybe you got a bad download on the program, or it could be something more nefarious. Would I put it past somebody who doesn't like the show to do something like that? There's a lot of places between the time we do the show and the time you receive the show. A lot of people between us and you.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, would you say that Google is an agent for the government?
Yes, I would. As a matter of fact.
Okay, and do they have sniffers out there, word sniffers that can? Because just because we speak spoken words doesn't mean that they turn it into text. And a sniffer on the internet doesn't sit there and go,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Speaking of Google, my friend, my good friend Bill Knight, contacted me yesterday about one of my favorite browsers, DuckDuckGo. And I thought, wait a second, what? And now Mr. Knight will tell us the rest of the story.
Oh, the rest of the story is, the rumor is, and DuckDuckGo is doing everything they can to deny it, and I would too.
Yeah.
But apparently Google has been trying to buy, and at one point it was said they bought DuckDuckGo.
No kidding.
Didn't say anything about it, and I'm not saying quit using DuckDuckGo, but just, keep in mind when you're doing searches, and you're thinking, I'm probably safe. With that hanging over their head, they've got to figure out a way to If they haven't been bought, they got to figure out a way other than words on the page going, "Oh no, those are just rumors. I'm the CEO," and that never happened, which could be very well true. But then again, the fact remains, there was an attempt, and it either did happen or didn't happen. So we're
Bill,
not safe anywhere we go.
Yeah, I was going to say that you should never assume that you have total privacy on the internet. Period. That's just the way it is. It is a non-private communications medium.
Yeah, and here's the fact. I mean, you look at that, and there was a former FBI agent, and I've got a good friend that maybe I'll contact sometime if he would divulge any little tidbits. But this agent came out and said, we can arrest anybody, anywhere, anyhow, why. We can get anybody.
I saw that story this morning, Bill. Kind of interesting. I think that was about. Was it about Alex Jones? Maybe about how was that the story this morning? I got a piece of audio from Alex Jones. By the way, he's going after the FBI and CIA himself.
Good luck on that, because I can tell you this. There's a big headquarters there in Pittsburgh, and because I know when I was there and I programmed a rock station, had a talk show, but they listened all the time, and a lot of the guys, really liked what we had going on, and they'd kind of call and say, "I can't tell you who I am, but you know where I am," and we like what he's saying, and that's when we had all the dirt and Hillary and Bill and the White House listening to that show. It was kind of cool, but I had a friend there from that office, and he was a good friend, and we used to go out and do stuff. And, as young guys and, people around them do, sometimes you have a party that goes a little bit wild at 2 or 3 in the morning, and the police get called, and they come knocking on the door. So Rob goes up to the door and answers it. And just as they open their mouth, he flipped out his badge, and they go, "Hey, you folks have a nice time, okay?" And that was it. They got the hell out of there. So,
I had a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine, who was an FBI agent in our church, and he seemed like a decent, honorable, good guy. But I can't help but wonder whether the young agents of today are being trained differently, are being pushed in a different direction, are being told that you can do things that other agents in the past would never have done. Whether
there might have been a code of decency, and I don't know that there's a code of decency when you get into the FBI, the CIA, and any other agency like that. But there is a code of honor there, or at least there was at one time. I
mean, when you see them,
probably as far as I should go.
When you see them raiding, for example, pro-life families because they have a belief that abortion is wrong, and maybe they go to an abortion clinic and they stand across the street and pray, and all of a sudden the next thing you know that their house is being raided. That to me doesn't make a lot of sense. Now maybe there's more to the story that we don't know about for some of these people. I don't know, but it just on the surface looks wrong. We are, this is America. I don't know. It just. I'm going to play a cut from Alex Jones. Okay, this is a good time to play it. He was talking on I guess it's the Benny podcast. Benny Johnson does a podcast. I never heard of the guy until he started doing the podcast, but he's a staunch conservative and has a lot of people who follow him. And he was talking with Alex Jones about Alex Jones's possibility. He's looking into suing the FBI and the CIA. Listen,
But now that this has come out, this is an FBI agent, a CIA boss. He's a contract manager over large contract operations. That's a boss. That's like a mini section chief, saying all of this and admitting all of this like it's no big deal. He needs to be subpoenaed by Congress. I am planning to launch a lawsuit against the CIA and the FBI. We have to bring all this out. And right as my bankruptcy comes to a close and right as all this stuff's being finalized, it's really God working here that this came out at this time.
You just said you were planning on suing the federal government. What would a Alex Jones versus the U.S. government look like?
Well, I'm talking to different law firms right now that specialize in this. In fact, when I get off the feed with you, I'm going to get back on the phone with the lawyers. It's obviously a civil rights violation. It's a government racketeering operation using cutouts And look, I mean, they come after my mother, my father, my wife. In these mediations, they've said, listen, just come out against the Second Amendment and we'll drop all this. I mean, they've done that repeatedly. And they've even said, listen, we're a mafia and there's nothing you can do to stop us, to my face in front of my lawyer, in front of Norm Pass. And so they're very arrogant. I mean, these are the sellouts. These are the traitors. These are the people that really love being under the corrupt FBI's wings, under the CIA's wings. They get a thrill. They get to go out and persecute fellow Americans, lie about them, say all these horrible things, and then say you said it, steal your identity, silence you so they can all pile in on you, make movies about themselves with judges and flash bulbs, and, oh, we're so great. We went out and got the big Goliath. No, you guys are the Goliath. I'm the David. You misrepresented what I did to make me a monster, and it's backfired.
So when you say you're going to file a civil rights lawsuit against the government over this, this is something you've clearly talked about. You've retained counsel on this. Would you go on First Amendment grounds that they eliminated your right to free speech, that the right to a free press? And it seems like so much of what you do is, of course, crystallized in the First Amendment first for a reason.
I've been talking to 4 different law firms, and I'm literally supposed to be on with one of them 5 minutes ago. I will come back with you tomorrow, or I'll come back with you today. I love your show. It's huge. But absolutely, I've got to get the wheels on this thing rolling, and we've got a lot of options. But again, it's not for me. It's about to put it out in court and show the evidence and then drag them out in the light with discovery and show what they've really done. And it's about congressional hearings, and it's about stopping these rogue agencies that have become domestic KGB operations. And if Elon Musk wants to help me, I know he's been backing a lot of lawsuits, out there for freedom. I would love to see the truth came out, because when I told him in that 2.5-hour interview we did 3-4 months ago with Mario Default, he said he wanted to hear, the long story. So I told him, I talked like 10 minutes telling him the truth about what happened. And the PR firms, he goes, oh, yes, the PR firms, which is the intelligence agency's mouthpieces, and how they did all that, how they created this Alex Jones that didn't exist and then had a show trial. And then the very same law firm suing me, or that sued me, is the one suing Elon Musk. So that's also a wake-up call for Elon.
Alex Jones, I think he lost. I think the judgment against him is like $1 trillion, which at some point, these judgments are ridiculous.
At some point, that is way beyond.
And I think that's what the judgment was. Look at. I don't really follow Alex Jones. I bumped into his show occasionally, and some of the things I find that he said is interesting. But if he relied on us for ratings, for ratings, he wouldn't have any, because I don't really listen to his program. But he's had a lot of people listening to him. He really built up quite a following, with his network, and he was targeted.
Yeah, well, look, he specializes in conspiracy theories, okay? But a lot of times where there is a conspiracy with theory behind it, there's some truth to it. So, and people aren't as gullible. Now, a lot of people are, but not everybody is gullible like everyone else. And they're going, I'm going to listen to this guy because maybe there's some truth there.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, well, he was the one that cracked the what is it, the Bohemian Grove or whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah. One of the first things he ever did was he took a video camera, and he and a guy went down, I guess there's a river or a creek or something that goes through the Bohemian Grove out in California. Yeah. If you don't know what that is, do a Google search for Bohemian Grove. Once a year, the elite in our country, men, I don't think women are involved. Maybe
no, the women do go there. They have their own thing. But
do they?
In the okay, if you're a feminist, you ought to listen to this.
Yeah.
Because the very people that you are patronizing, they take their wives there and they go, okay, you ladies, you go off of there and do your lady things over there. You stay out of this men stuff because we're going to be worshiping idols and setting fires and doing sacrifices.
True. You and by the way, if you are wide-eyed and going, come on, what Bill just said is very true.
Yeah. I see women right now going, ladies, we've got to take back our rights. Which these guys that do this are saying, abortion ladies, these guys are taking it, are taking control of your body. They're dividing you because that's what they know how to do is divide. Well, we need to take over and vote all blue. Think about that before you make that stupid move, because then you are that little girl that goes off into the corner at their behest. You are listening to your master.
Bohemian Grove it's once a year. It's a private, secretive group of mostly men, but Bill said there are some women who are they're shuffled off to their own area. But they have this this huge cutout in the woods of an owl. Seriously, it's got to be 50 feet high, and they light fires around it, and they sing chants and they songs, and they have speeches, and it looks like they're idolizing this owl, and some very important men in the country, presidents and things like that, or former presidents, have gone to this Bohemian Grove. Well, Alex Jones took a camera crew down there, and he kind of, and by the way, their security is massive. I'm not talking about like they got a bunch of guys, from the shopping mall who come down with their badges. They have a really sophisticated security system in place, electronics and trained guardsmen, armed guards, and they protect it like it's the Vault of America, the U.S. Mint. So he went down and he broke through that security with his camera crew and got videotape. And that was the beginning of his, I guess his network and his program is called InfoWars. And it caught on like wildfire. It went viral before viral was even such a term. And this was back maybe 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And he's been on the list of a lot of people with power for years because they just don't like the fact that he did what he did. I mean, he did something that 60 Minutes couldn't do. 60 Minutes didn't go down and do a report on the Bohemian Grove, but yet this guy did. So, and then again, he's made some mistakes. He did, I think he minimized or tried to make it sound like the shooting in Connecticut didn't really happen. And it hurt a lot of the families. Yeah, I don't think he intentionally meant to hurt anybody, but I think he,
there has been and still remains.
We're talking about Sandy Hook.
Yeah, Sandy Hook. There are those that say that, well, that might have been staged. Well, I don't know.
Well,
but when there's lives lost and innocent kids, you got to be careful there.
Yeah, you don't touch that because God bless us. It would appear, from all intents and purposes, it would appear that it was truthful. It did happen. And if that happened, that's one of the worst tragedies to befall our country. I mean, we lost some beautiful children, and to a nutty kid. I think he was about 19 or 20 years old. He killed his mother too, and I think he killed his uncle. He was a bad guy, and that was a bad time. And Alex Jones should have kept that one to himself, and he didn't. And then, by the way, he apologized for it, but they still went after him and got a $1 trillion judgment. I'm sure the parents, the least thing they're thinking about is his judgment. They could care less. They wish they could get their child back. But anyway, so he's made mistakes, but he's also done some good things. The thing about this guy is he's tried to do the right thing, I think. He's tried to be a guy who stays on top of the real news and get the information out to the people. And that's bothered a lot of people who don't like what he does. I mean, this goes to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show from our friend Jeff out in Cape Cod. We tried to tell a truthful story as we knew it, and it appears that somebody didn't like that story getting out there and interrupted our program. By the way, if you want to hear that program, you can go to www.itsanotherday.com. I mentioned that, by the way, Bill, www, because my wife put in just itsanotherday.com and didn't get to our site.
Got Paul McCartney and Wings or something?
Got to an index page. So the best thing to do is, in the case of our program, be very specific because otherwise you may not get there. www.itsanotherday.com. Okay, that's what I want to tell you.
Yeah, and that goes to the direct website. There's also jimandbill.com, generally speaking, it used to be if you typed in "it's another day,"
Yep.
that was the number one search. We did it that way specifically with the SEO and what is it they call the search for keywords.
Yeah.
We did it that way, and Jim and Bill that way too. A lot of times, like when I sit there and go to the site, I just go Jim and Bill. Oh, it comes up Jim and Bill.
Yeah, well,
podcast.
you do it. Yeah, you do it in the search engine. You do it. You go to like Google or something like that and type in Jim and Bill, and it pops up like run off. By the way, we heard Alex say to Benny Johnson, your show's big. If the information that we're getting is truthful, our program is taken off like wildfire. We don't make any money in this program. We don't market it. You don't hear commercials because we haven't put a staff together to do that. Essentially, it's just been two guys who are dedicated to doing a truthful news and commentary feature in the morning. That's what we do.
Yeah. I mean, we could put a little Cash App thing down at the bottom. Hey, if you like the show, throw in $5 or this or that. But it's not about getting rich. It's not about anything like that.
But there are expenses to this bill, right? I mean, we pay for stuff,
Yeah, I mean, look, besides studio equipment and the maintenance and the internet, we pay for server space. We pay for
software.
Software hosting, the
Zoom.
domain names.
Yep.
Zoom. By the time you add it up, well, it's I might say, it's not much, but it comes to several $100 a month.
Yeah.
And because we don't make money, you don't get to write that off. So it's a hobby.
An expensive hobby. But what the heck? But anyway, we do thank you for listening because there are, seriously, when we say tens of thousands of people out there, we believe, based upon our statistics, that's a lot.
Well, Jim, when we started out 2 years ago, we had tens of people listening, mostly us and our family.
That's true. That's true. I mean, if what we hear is true, there are several million people around the world who have found the program. And by the way, that is amazing how they bump into the program. But anyway, we're getting off the beaten path. We do have a lot of things to talk about yet.
Enough chest beating.
That's true. But anyway. Alex Jones, God bless him. He's going to try to sue the FBI and the CIA. Like my friend said, going into the audio feature, good luck. It's suing the government is kind of a stacked deck. It's hard to do. Also, did you hear about Chuck Schumer?
Chuck E. Cheese, yeah.
They're getting ready. The impeachment of Alejandro Mayorkas is about to go up to the Senate. And for the first time, I think, in the history of the Senate, Schumer is trying to say, we're not going to bring it up for a trial. When Congress, I guess, sends an impeachment up to the Senate historically has been obliged to hold, even if it's a formality, they have a trial on the charges, and if they find them not guilty, find them not guilty. Well, Schumer doesn't want to do that, and listen to what Schumer said.
Colleagues say you're going to offer a motion to dismiss the impeachment charges on Thursday. Are you at all concerned that if some Democrats in tough races vote for that, it can come back to haunt them on the campaign trail?
Look, we're going to try and resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Impeachment should never be used to settle policy disagreements.
Did you hear that? From this guy is the most two-faced weasel in government. Impeachment should never be used as a tool to straighten out a policy difference.
Should only be used by Democrats for political gain.
Absolutely. They go after Trump. Trump walks out of the White House and they impeach him,
I dare somebody to bring up charges of treason against Chuck Schumer. When you look at all of his actions and things he's done, even where he sat there and made the threats on the steps of the White House.
Oh, no, it was the Supreme Court.
Oh, the Supreme Court, yeah. But you take all of that stuff in and you add everything together, cumulative, he's a treasonist. Somebody ought to bring him up on charges against that, and let's see how the little girl screams then.
Well, if you forget, he got out in front of the Supreme Court. I think I'm trying to find. Do I have?
Well, if you do, you're a pretty good indexer there because that's old audio.
I can't find it. I got a few cuts from Chuck, but nothing about.
It's in the Rolodex of your mind. Okay.
He threatens the justices. You know, he says things on this, and he doesn't do it like from the Senate chambers. He does it on the steps of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Gorsuch, we're coming for you, Kavanaugh. You know, you'll
it was
rue
a
the
threat.
day.
There's no, you'll rue the day. That was the big thing. And this wasn't a misquote, a misstep, or an oopsie. That was a deliberate attack, and it was a threat. And everybody knows it. Even if you're a Democrat, you know that it was. So let's just admit it, and he should be gone.
I like it. I haven't heard that term in a long time. An oopsie. I like that.
Yeah, oopsie doopsie there. Yeah. Well, no, that was an oopsie from Dopsy there.
Yeah.
It would be an oopsie dopsy.
You know, when he made that statement yesterday about impeachment shouldn't be used as a tool to, straighten out.
Well, he is a tool.
Well, he's standing there with Lisa Murkowski, I think, who's a Republican. And I'm thinking, man, they have no shame, these people. None at all. So that'll be interesting to see whether Mayorkas even gets,
nothing's going to happen there. Nothing's going to happen because the political fix is in, and I say political because there are bad players even on the good guys' side. If you want to call the Republicans the good guys, really, the public needs to vote for the good guys to have feathers in their caps, and they only get allowed to wear them if they have a feather in their cap that we voted for. And
I was thinking, and this is something which I'm very serious about. Joe Biden has turned his back on a lot of decisions. The school loan thing. The Supreme Court came down and said, this is illegal, and you cannot do that. You're violating the law. He said that with regard to canceling student loans. And Biden and his administration turned around and has flipped the finger at the Supreme Court and is continuing to promote and to dismiss student loans. I was thinking yesterday, Bill, Hunter Biden, you have Peter Navarro going to jail for, and by the way, Peter Navarro was an assistant, trusted associate of the President of the United States. Historically, he was under the umbrella of executive privilege when he was that right-hand man to President Trump. But they put him in jail for it because when they wanted him to testify about January 6th in front of that sham January 6th hearing, he said, no, I can't do it because I have to remain faithful to the president. They said, no, you don't. They ended up putting him in jail. He's in jail now for 4 months. I think he spent a month there so far. That being said, Hunter twice has ignored subpoenas from Congress twice.
Yeah, and he's the president's son.
And they have just said, to heck with it. Don't worry about it. Hey, that's okay. You're a Democrat. And here's the thing I was thinking, Bill. This administration, look what they've done to the border. The whole country is against the border being so open, and they've said, screw you. We're doing it anyway. I mean, Biden said this. Listen.
There are Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
You know, Democrats are famous for putting people, they divide, and they put them into welfare states and on the government teat. Now, let's take a look at immigration, and let's go back, as I like to say, back this bus up. Let's go back to the original immigrants, because this nation was founded on immigration. But, you know, you could go back to the 1920s. Mm-hmm. I think it was your grandmother, or you talked about
my grandmother came across in 1900.
Okay.
Ellis Island.
So when she came here, let me ask you a question. When she got here and passed everything that she had to do to get in here, mm-hmm. what did the government give her?
Nothing. They actually put her in quarantine for 2 weeks because she was a single 22-year-old woman and didn't have an escort, and they had to wait until a man came down to escort her away.
Like every immigrant, you know, in the past that's come here and might be your parents or your grandparents, they came here and they got nothing. They came here for the dream that they could make something. They were handed nothing. They had a big handful of nothing. But what they did is they went out and they said, I got to hustle. And empires and million-dollar estates were built from these immigrants that came in and said, I've got to bust my butt now that I have this opportunity. So fast forward to Joe Biden. It's nonstop. It's relentless. There's not going to be any more white European people or anything like that. We got immigrants here. They are not coming for the American dream.
Well, just give you an
They're coming here for the damn handout.
If you go on the internet and type in Andrew Carnegie, all right? Mm-hmm. Andrew Carnegie. In Pittsburgh, they pronounce it Carnegie, but it's actually Andrew Carnegie. Yeah. It will say American industrialist, right? But actually, he's from Scotland. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he was one of those guys who came across, I think he was a kid, you know, and he had a dream.
He made something.
They wanted to assimilate. They wanted to become Americans, you know, and they did become Americans. They used to call this country the melting pot. Not anymore. Bill, this is what you're hearing. I'm going to play this. We played this yesterday. I'm going to play a little bit of it today.
Right, sure.
Dearborn, Michigan, yesterday.
We've been asked in the past, why are our protests on the International Day of Quds, why are they so anti-America? Why don't we just focus more on Israel and not talk so much about America? Gaza has shown the entire world why these protests are so anti-America. Because it's the United States government that provides the funds for all of the atrocities that we just heard about. And this is why Imam Khomeini, who declared the International Day of Quds, this is why he would say to pour all of your chants and all of your shouts upon the head of America.
Death to America.
Malcolm X said, and I quote, "We live in one of the rottenest countries that has ever existed on this earth. It's not Genocide Joe that has to go. It's the entire system that has to go. Any system that would allow such atrocities and such devilry to happen and would support it, such a system does not deserve to exist on God's earth."
That was not Tehran. That was not some Middle Eastern city. That was Dearborn, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this guy, he sounds as hateful can be. And I have a question for you, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
If you went into a theater and yelled fire, if you scream fire, and there's no fire, do they arrest you for doing that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, this guy's going out and he's in the middle of a public square yelling "Death to America." But yet nobody does anything to this guy. They do it under the name of free speech, but it's...
Well, he came here with an agenda, and it wasn't to chase the American dream. There are people that have come here for... And see, that's the whole thing. It used to be you were vetted when you came into this country. Why are you here? What are you doing here? You were vetted because you needed to want to come here for what we have to offer and assimilate. Now, I am not arguing that we have some bad people in our government, but he has bad people in his regime as well, and he's one of their agents, because don't tell me that they're so righteous and holy, because they want to sit there. Death to America. And America means the institution. That means you, me, everybody listening, every man, child. They want to erase us as a population. They want genocide.
When I see protests, I see signs that'll say gays for Palestine. And I think to myself, do you realize that
that's an oxymoron? You're the moron.
Well, no, you realize that if they got their way, these radical extremists, they would throw you off a building because you're homosexual. Yet you're screaming for them to have their way in your country. You know, I mean, this is the type of thing that I don't quite understand. Plus, you know, when you come into this country, he could be just a guest. This guy who was screaming death to America may not even be a citizen of America.
I have a little visa or just a passport to be here.
My suggestion is, hey, you don't like it here, pal? We're going to send you back to where you'll be comfortable amongst your friends, okay? Because
I tell you what, I sure wouldn't, in that rally there, I sure wouldn't have been the dissenting voice, because you were outgunned.
Well, you know, that's true, but they've allowed this to happen. Now, I'm not saying that every Middle Eastern immigrant in this country believes in this. There's many who come here who want to be Americans and want to assimilate, and actually these guys give them a bad reputation, make life a little bit difficult for them because they're trying to be Americans, and you got this guy yelling death to America on the public square. You know what? Greg Gutfeld was talking about this on Fox yesterday.
You know, and I get the impression, you know, with the death to America stuff, that we are on a slow roll toward our own little Gazas, these little islands of unrest in the country. These were places that were sacrificed to leftisms, where laws were discarded, identity and division became the currency. You know, look at Minneapolis since George Floyd. It's never been the same. Right. There are all these enclaves. We were supposed to be a melting pot, but that requires melting, and instead what we're seeing in these areas is a hardening. It's a hardening. And we're always accused of xenophobia if we exalt our country's awesomeness or make fun of another country's customs. Fair enough, I get it, but it's a two-way street. If you come here and you reject assimilation, free speech, cooperation with people different than you, those are our values. And if you reject them, you are xenophobic and you are anti-American. It's not illegal, I guess, but why are we respecting it and why are we encouraging it? You know, leftism encourages this sort of behavior. It is time for the adults to enter the room and basically change the conversation, or these cities are gone.
That's true. That's Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah.
What he said is true. You know, and we're afraid. We're afraid to say that it's wrong. Oh, we don't want to sound politically incorrect.
Well, who's afraid? Because the Democrats, and I hate to say a political party, but let's just call it the way it is, because I'm sure Republicans have done it too. But as my friend over the weekend once said to me, is that, you know, you can be all one origin, and we're still going to find the divisive point in the crowd to divide. People are that way, and right now, that's what we're doing. We're doing this divisive thing, and it's not right. Martin Luther King, you know, he wasn't talking about, you know, blacks taking over the world. He was saying, I have a dream. I have a dream for their part of assimilation into the country and being treated with respect and equal dignity. Okay, I get that. That was, you know, but you know, what's going on here is totally opposite of that and what this country was built on, the total foundation of this country. We're tearing it apart from within.
The premise, as I see it, you came to this country not to be a Mexican in this country or a Venezuelan in this country.
Or a white guy or an Italian or anything else. You came here
to do that process, to become an American.
To be somebody and be something for yourself, whatever it is, and no matter how small or big it is, that was your dream, and you have the right to it.
Right.
But somehow And I would say we have an infection inside of D.C. and it's lingered there, and it's got roots.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. It's actually encouraged,
yes,
by these politicians. They like us to be divided. They like us to be
it's control and power.
Us against them, exactly. They don't want us to assimilate. They don't want us to melt together. They don't want us to be one. You notice that during, like, for example, World War I and World War II, when we were facing a common adversary, the country just came together. It was no longer Republicans and Democrats. They were Americans. You know, they went after Pearl Harbor. They all these guys went down and joined up and became soldiers. They didn't go down and say, "Are you a Democrat or a Republican?" They had to be an American. That's it. And then when they were in foxholes side by side, they didn't say, "Well, what are you, Republican or Democrat?" They didn't care. Okay, when we are facing a common foreign adversary, we have historically come together. But it's not good for politicians, because politicians by nature are separate. There's the Republican side and the Democrat side. They are by nature two different sides of the aisle. They don't want you all to come together. They don't want you all to be one, because then they can't get your vote. It's as simple as that. You know, they aren't thinking about saving the country or saving our ass. They're out saving their own. They're out saving their jobs and their power and their money and their future. I mean, if I sound cynical about politicians, well, it's because I've got decades of experience watching them, you know, and I've seen how they act. And I get a little ticked off. I apologize. But it really is disgusting to see that the guys like Schumer, you know, he is such a chameleon. He's such a chameleon. He will get out there. Now, he gets out there and tries to sound like the rational. We shouldn't be using impeachment as a means to solve a political problem.
He's an evil man.
He really is. He really is. The guy is an evil guy. He will do whatever he thinks is necessary to better his situation, no matter what it does to the country. You know, this is a guy, people don't know this, Bill. He used to go hat in hand to Donald Trump's office looking for money. He kissed his gluteus maximus on a regular basis to get a check from Donald Trump because he wanted Donald Trump's money. But then when he had a chance to be an honorable man, I'm talking about Schumer, and do the right thing, he did the political thing. He's done the political thing constantly. He's not one of us. He's not trying to make America better. You know, if this was an honest, fair, and freedom-loving country like it purports to be, they would look at what they're doing to the former president of the United States, a man who, whether you like him or not, has done nothing wrong. I don't care what you may. Oh, he's a blowhard. I don't care what you think. But the fact of the matter is, legally, Trump has done honorable things. You may say, well, what about Stormy Daniels? Stormy Daniels was proven twice before in courts of law to be a nothing case. There's nothing to see here. Yet this is the third time at the same apple.
Well, you want to get an honest opinion of Stormy Daniels, look up her name. Google it, as somebody once said. Google her name. You're going to find her movies. Go ahead. I encourage you. Watch one of her movies all the way through, and then you tell me the credibility of that woman and her IQ. For when you see the movie, you go, well, what is her IQ? Did she really write this book, or did she not write this book? Does she really, you know, she is a tool of the left, and she's getting money for it. So,
and by the way, Bill,
she's screwing again for a living, but she's screwing you.
That's true. Isn't that the truth? The thing is, you have to also ask yourself, look at Stormy Daniels and then look at the First Lady of the United States of America, Donald Trump's wife. Does he need Stormy Daniels to have? I mean, Melania Trump is absolutely gorgeous. Maybe the prettiest First Lady ever. And you know, does Trump need to go out chasing skirts like Stormy Daniels? You know,
Well, you got to look at the fact that he is a germaphobe, and just keep that in mind when
That's
you think
true.
about Stormy, and look at her movies. And then she was in an industry where she's a woman, and that's how she made her money. So she would probably go and do 4 or 5 up to 10 different films in a day.
oh my God, yeah, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, really? If you're a germaphobe, you're going to sit there and even shake her hand? I wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, they're trying desperately to make her look like the victim. The victim. Oh, my God.
Well, you know what? She is a victim. She's a victim of her own self.
Yeah. Well, she's gone out and made, if you have no morals and if you aren't worried about your soul, she's been successful. She's been a very successful pornographic motion picture star. When they say that, I just find that interesting. Star. They've ruined the term star. I think of stars like Clark Gable, Vivian Leigh, Spencer Tracy, Cary Grant. Those were stars. But now everybody's a star. I mean, you can have a YouTube channel and you are a star. I mean, come on. But Stormy Daniels is a porn star. And if you're into that kind of thing, you know who she is. And like Bill says, you know what she does for a living, and it doesn't involve doing a lot of line memorization, okay? There's not a lot of dialogue in her films. Let's just leave it at that.
Stormy, do you know your lines? I think I've got it.
I got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Lay right over there on that sofa? Okay.
Speaking of pornography, Bill, were you going to say something?
No. I just thought it was a nice segue from porn star into pornography.
Yeah, Amy Harris, 41, was sentenced by Biden's Department of Justice to prison yesterday, followed by a period of home confinement for her role in the alleged theft and distribution of a diary belonging to Ashley Biden.
Okay, let's straighten something up here.
Okay.
She didn't go and break in a house and steal anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was lost, discarded. She found something, and when she realized what it was, she said, "Oh, well, the people got to see this," But no, the Democrats have a way of taking things and redefining and reclassifying what is and what is not. It was found. It was discovered.
Yeah.
It wasn't searched for.
Bill's absolutely correct. It says here Joe Biden's youngest daughter left her diary under a mattress at the Palm Beach rehab home, following a stay for a treatment at the facility. 2 individuals who found Ashley Biden's diary at the halfway house later sold the diary to James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. And that's how it got out. And Ashley Biden has, she hasn't really denied it. She, I think, has said admittedly on audio tape that it's her diary, but she hasn't gone into the specifics and verified the specifics. But in the diary, she talks about some pretty graphic stuff, Bill.
Well, I get diaries because it's the one place that you can confide the secrets in your mind that are just for you and God. But she violated that sacred bond by leaving that. She could have left it in a hotel room. She could have left it in a bathroom. She could have left it on a table at Mickey D's where she was writing down something as she had her bacon, egg, cheese biscuit or whatever it is. She left it in a halfway house.
Right.
Now, they could have just destroyed it, thrown it away, maybe get it back to her or whatever, but it was fair game.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, it was. And when you consider her dad is the leader of the world, whether legit or not, that has, profound significance. So it's just like, if you're doing that to her, then the Hunter tapes of him sitting there in his all-togetherness with a couple of hookers and smoking a crack pipe, that should have never been seen.
It's funny you should say that, because one of the things that Hunter's lawyers have said is that those Hunter videos were private, and they should not have been released.
Well, then
by the way, he took the videos himself of him running around in the all-together, smoking crack, and having sex with prostitutes.
Well, if they let that go, if he gets off the hook on that, and I were, let's say, somebody from West Virginia that had done some time in prison because you were a meth addict or something, you were addicted to a drug, and you did some illicit, weird things because you were worshiping the drug god. Well, they used evidence against you, acquired the same way with film footage, hearsay, knowledge, and whatnot, and you were convicted. Well, if Hunter gets off, you got to go back and give restitution to all these people that have violated the laws and done everything because now they are victims of a system that you've turned upside down.
Well, Hunter says he took the videos himself, and they were private property, and they never should have been. But when he had the when he had the laptop repaired, he signed an agreement. In the agreement, it said if you don't pick the laptop up within 90 days, I believe, the laptop becomes the property of the store, the repair shop. Well, Hunter Biden didn't go back for the laptop. Now I have to ask you, friends. It was I believe it was an iMac, pretty expensive laptop. Who just leaves that and just doesn't go back for it? I don't know about you, but when I've had stuff repaired, I'm usually like an annoyance to the person repairing it. Is it done yet? Can I come and pick it up? No. When? Friday? I'll be there Friday at 11. No, 3? Oh, I'll be there at 3. I mean, I'm on them. He didn't care, and he left it beyond 90 days. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, yeah, he left it at a moment when he had cohesive thought, and then he forgot about it because he's always stoned and high. But you're right. There's a point of expiration at which point it becomes that owner, and they will say, or the guy that was doing the repair, he didn't care about that laptop when he dropped it off. He didn't care about it when he signed about it. He didn't have any forethought that, I got some, compromising pictures on there. And I'm sure that
it's interesting you should say that, because I think his lawyers are going to use that defense. I think his lawyers are going to say, wait a second, this was a man who had an addiction, who was not thinking clearly, who was at the time a regular use of hallucinogenics and things like that. And the fact that he didn't pick up his laptop in the 90-day period was because he wasn't thinking clearly.
Well, that didn't get any other criminal off the hook that's had a problem with drugs and done things.
That's true.
I mean, you could be high on crack cocaine. All right?
Yeah.
And you go in and rob a liquor store.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, I'm not giving you the money in the register. Oh, yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Take the money. You're on videotape. Yeah. Well, that videotape, he didn't get permission for it, and he was not in his right mind, so he's not guilty.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I was stoned out of my brain,
Come on. Let's get real here. Democrats, quit your shenanigans. And Hunter's bad, and Joe is bad too.
Yeah, I think I would submit that Joe is worse, because Joe has done this historically for 40 plus years. This corruption, by the way, didn't start recently. Joe Biden's corruption, I would venture to say, started probably soon after he became a senator. There was an interview, if you remember, when he was a young senator. I think he was like 30. He was on television. The guy said, well, it's good to see that we have someone in office who's not corrupt and a young man with a future. And Biden laughed. Did you see the interview? He kind of laughed and said, well, I wouldn't say I'm not corrupt. It was like these people, they're so proud of their I don't know, their illegality. They will sometimes they flaunt it. It's like, well, I wouldn't say I'm not corrupt. And he laughed, and the audience laughed because the audience was thinking, well, he's saying that because he really isn't.
That's like talking to the devil, and you're saying, well, you're not the devil. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not the devil.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So this stupid tail keeps coming out here,
You have all these people out there who will vote for this guy again. You got to wonder, are you really paying attention to where this country is going? I mean, whether you like Trump or not, you have two choices. This coming election. You have the choice between a guy who, whether you like him or not, historically, he did the right thing. He put the border wall up. He straightened out the economy. He put our country was respected around the world. You may not have liked how he combed his hair or how he talked about his accomplishments, because he's his own best self-promoter, but that's neither here nor there. It's the deeds that should mean something to you, not his actions. If you had social media back in the turn of the 20th century, can you imagine the numbskulls that would have who were president, who would have been on social media? You never would have voted for some of these people because you would have realized, oh, this guy can't put a string of words together. I mean, Herbert Hoover, Taft, William Howard Taft. He was a big guy. He couldn't get out of his tub. I mean, these were the kind of people who were president back before social media. Now we have social media, and guys like Trump and Biden are in your face all the time.
It's funny. They always say Trump. He's mumbling, stumbling, can't get a phrase together. They do a lot of editing on Trump, but he doesn't mumble. Yeah. He doesn't stumble. Has he tripped ever? Yep, sure has. Have I tripped ever? Yep, sure have. Has Jim tripped ever? Yep, sure has.
Have I?
And you know what? Sure. And anybody listening has always, somewhere along the line, they're walking along and they don't see something on the ground, they slip.
Sure.
Joe does it all the time. He falls upstairs and downstairs.
That's true.
He just falls all along.
He did it again, by the way, over the weekend. Did you see that?
Yeah, and if you've noticed, when he's bent forward going up the stairs, if you look at the lines in the back of his coat where it's wrapped around, there's a brace there. He's got a prosthetic on because he can't stand up straight.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. He stopped using the long flight of stairs into Air Force One. They have him going in down below on the shorter steps into Air Force One, and even with those, the guy trips and stumbles going up.
They're going to put an escalator in there for him. All he's got to do is sit in a chair and ride up.
They do have a lift, by the way. They, for lifting cargo into the plane. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts using that. We are in a unique situation. You can vote for this guy who's corrupted our borders and our economy. How he can possibly point to anything he's done as president as an achievement is beyond my imagination. And I know people. I think to myself, and these are good people. I mean, people I've known for years who are staunch Democrats, who I'm sure if I asked them,
you're a bad person because you support Trump.
I support.
You might say they're good people.
I support him wholeheartedly because I look to what he did in the first 4 years. Look at what Biden did in the first 3 years. He's not even finished yet. I mean, he's slow walking us towards World War III.
They'll have you say the economy is so hot under Biden that they can't cool it down. Well, if that is a fact, let's just say that's a fact that the economy is so hot that you can't cool it down, then that was created during the Trump years because that's when it shot through the ceiling. But, Biden has come in, they've triggered up interest rates to cool down the economy. Well, inflation numbers come out today, and apparently they're not where they want them to be, and that could tank stocks. How much? I don't know. It just seems like even the positive job outlook that they came out with, a week or two ago, saying, oh, look at this. Look at those job numbers. They're part-time jobs.
Hey, look what the deep state did to Truth Social.
Immigrant jobs. Yeah.
Truth Social came out. It became public about a week and a half ago as DJT. And when it did, it went through the roof. The stock did. So the media went 100% against Truth Social. Everything they said about Truth Social was negative because Trump, when it went public, his wealth went to increased by $6 billion. So they didn't like that. So they wanted to tank the stock. So they brought it down again. It's still worth about $4 billion. But it's the media that has manipulated the stock. But, getting back to World War III, this is Elon Musk. Listen.
Diplomacy whatsoever.
I think we are sleepwalking our way into World War III. Sleepwalking our way into World War III. With one foolish decision after another, as you outlined, David. And really people should be deeply self-reflective. If their predictions have not come true, they should consider whether perhaps their other predictions might not come true either. I mean, what is the track record here? It's not good.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not a politician. He's a businessman.
Right.
And he's an astute observer of what's going on in the world because he makes his money off doing that. Brazil which has become socialist with this Lala who's running the country down there now. They're not happy with Elon Musk, and they're trying to pressure him into doing stuff that he doesn't want to do, and they've actually threatened with filing charges against him and trying to throw him in jail. He'll never get thrown in jail because he'll never go to Brazil. But Elon, and they also said we're going to shut down your Twitter accounts in Brazil. You won't, or X. You won't be able to disseminate X around Brazil. So Musk said, "Tell you what, I'm going to do. You do that, and I'm going to offer, Skynet, to all of the Brazilians for free. They'll get free internet in Brazil, and they'll be able to access Twitter as much as they want." This is the kind of guy that you're dealing with. He is not someone to be trifled with. And but when he says we're sleepwalking our way into World War III, Trump isn't doing that. Trump is not doing that. This is Joe Robinette Biden and his administration that's doing it.
I see all the social posts from, liberal friends and, the debate that came up. How many have used Twitter? I don't like X now. I like the old Twitter. And they like they want to be spoon-fed their zombie food, because that's all they are. They're walking, talking zombies for the left, and that's where they get their instructions. And they don't want to hear anything from, they don't want to hear anything opposite of what they've been taught to think. And that is a sad state that we are in. And again, that violates our Constitution and everything about us. It's funny, what was it? What's that? Univision, in an interview with Joe Biden, they asked him what he thought was the threat to freedom and democracy. And he had two words, and you know what they were. Donald Trump. He goes, 4-time indicted, insurrectionist, 4-time indicted. That means he was accused of a crime, not found guilty of a crime. Accused by who? Democratic left. It was a Democratic left thing. He killed those cops. He didn't kill any cops. As a matter of fact, the people at the insurrection didn't die from what they said. The people that were killed were on the right by lefty people, and that's a fact. So, chew on that for a little bit, and was it an insurrection, or is the insurrection what they're doing right now? So,
I wanted to talk about, you pointed some stuff out, which is interesting. Donald Trump, by the way, I guess he goes in front of the court in New York next week, and they issued, and I don't have it in front of me, and I wanted to have it. See, there's so much stuff out there.
He wants to change a venue, and he wants to change a judge.
But the judge put a questionnaire out to the jurors.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do in the questionnaire is to weed out any possible Trump supporter. Literally.
Well, wait. See, now here's the thing. Have you ever been? Your dad was a lawyer, so you've probably sat in on some cases.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have the prosecution and the defense, and they bring in their jury pool. Now the witnesses, the other side gets to know what the witness is. They can object to it, but you have your choice of witnesses. And the jury pool is the same thing. They'll ask a series of questions, but it's going to be fair and balanced. They want to weed out anybody that would be against them, that would be pro-you. But the judge doesn't have any say in that.
Well, the judge put a questionnaire up, multiple questions. I haven't got time to find it. Hopefully tomorrow I will read some of it to you. But in the questionnaire, he asks questions like, have you ever been a supporter of Donald Trump? Are you aware of what Donald Trump has talked about recently in the public media? Are you? These are the questions that this judge has handed to the jurors, the potential jurors. And if they answer, we follow Donald Trump, yes, we read. He put a list. Do you follow these news sources? And on that list of news sources was Newsmax and Fox News. Now, this judge is making damn sure that the people who are sitting on the jury are not Trump supporters.
Can't do that.
This is a stacked friggin' deck, okay? I don't know how else to put it. I'm telling you right now, the case starts next week. Trump will be found guilty. They want him. This judge, Merchan, has been charged with making sure that Trump goes to jail. This is what they want to do.
This will be the felony count, and it's the Stormy Daniels dam case that has no ground. And even so, let's just say that you're going, okay, it's after the hush money thing. He did hush money, which is not illegal. It's done by businesses all the time. And, I would sit there and pay someone, what do I have to do to get you out of my hair? What is it going to take? If it was reasonable, I would just say, here's the money, you sign this, you get the hell out of my life.
Yeah, well, Bill, the other thing is
not admitting any guilt.
You know what doesn't apply to Donald Trump anymore?
What?
The statute of limitations. Doesn't apply to him. It doesn't mean a damn thing anymore. Nothing.
Well, there's a reason that they're doing things in New York, because they have some old, hidden, archaic laws. And you're going, oh, no, they don't. There's stupid laws. You've seen them, because in radio show prep fodder, if you had nothing to talk about, you'd talk about, oh, well, if you're in San Francisco, I think it's San Francisco, they can't serve you milk in a glass. They have to give you the glass and the carton next to it. It's a law there that goes back to wherever the state it is or city it is. There are archaic laws everywhere. There are archaic laws in New York that circumnavigate, factual law. And that's why they're there. That's why they're doing it there. Did the Stormy Daniels case have anything to do in New York City?
I don't think they did. I think they were all West Coast. I could be wrong.
So why are we doing it in New York City?
I don't, Bill, I don't know.
Does
it make any sense? No.
No, it doesn't. And the judge has a connection there. Why is he the one that's trying it? Because, his connection could be exposed. So, let's nail this bastard. I'll do the nailing of the coffin.
The question, by the way, the questions, it's a 6-page questionnaire. I have the questionnaire in front of me right now, but it's too long to go into it right now because we're over time. But the fact of the matter is, you can go online and read it for yourself. It's out there. Merchan's questionnaire to jurors. It's there. And
defund New York. Defund New York. Do not give any federal dollars. Give them nothing. If they want to be their own island, let them be their own island.
They put Trump in jail. You heard Biden talk about all these charges. You think he won't have a field day saying you can't?
He's already having a field day.
But now, but Biden will be saying you can't put a convicted felon in the presidency. I mean, they're going to start to, and then they will start to do things like putting motions in front of Congress to change the law so that convicted felons can't be president of the United States. Mind you, it's a trumped up, it's a crappy charge, it's a stacked deck, it's a sham court, but yet these people will milk it. This is third world. This is fourth world. This is lower than third world, okay? This is about as corrupt and as crappy, but the Democrats don't give a damn anymore, Bill. Honest.
No, and you know what? If they don't, then it's time to reinvent the republic. Sorry, but if they start changing laws and doing that, then we put in the people that can do it and just say, you know what? It's time for this shenanigans to get.
Bill, you have the real criminals. The real criminals. The guy, in my opinion, the guy who committed treason against the country for his own financial benefit, you have him telling, with the arrogance, to go out there and say that the self-made billionaire who has already been president once and done a good job, that he's the criminal. This is about as bad as it gets. And dare I say, Bill, what you said may happen if they put him in jail. That could be the turning point in our peaceful and intelligent and sophisticated society.
I'm telling you right now, America is over. It's done with. This clown has wiped out democracy. They talk about democracy and their freedom, and and Joe is sitting there on Univision talking about, it was 4-time indicted. He's a dictator, the economy. He's attacking the Constitution. Wait a minute. Joe is the dictator. Look at what he's trying to do. And Who has danced all over the Constitution? Well, that would be Joe Biden. He's being sued right now over his wanting to do student loan forgiveness, and now he's expanded it to 30 million people. It's all about getting votes, and the timing is. Oh, and they say
and keeping the power,
and keeping the power,
and getting back to what I was going to say, Bill. Do you think if he's ignoring these other laws, like the Supreme Court decisions and the subpoenas and stuff like that, who's to say that down the road they say we're not going to have an election? We're not going to have an election. It isn't the time. The environment is not proper for an election. It won't be safe for the public to have municipal elections. We're going to cancel the elections temporarily.
Name one thing that Joe Biden has done good. One thing that he's done.
Bill, I can't think of.
Give me the proof.
Think of anything. Nothing.
You can't think of any? Well, yeah, somebody might say the economy. Prove it. Prove it.
Where? Show me how he strengthened the economy. I heard yesterday that the interest rates on homes are going to go as high as 12% soon.
Yeah, well, they're talking. They may drop them just before the election, but it'll have a significant downturn. Then they'll have to turn them around. They're going to give you a window, and then they're going to close it, but it's right before the election. This guy can't. And is he going to ask yourself this question? All right. You got Joe, you got Kamala. So look at that package. If that was sitting on the shelf of a store, Joe's expiration date is probably June of 24, and you're going to sit there and buy this piece of goods, and your backup is Kamala. Would you buy him off the shelf in the store?
Oh, God forbid, no. In the meantime, they're trying to tell you that you can't buy the good product over to the right because, it's damaged goods, even though they may have damaged it. We have gone way over. We could have easily have done 2 hours today because it's that kind of a news environment. Tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be another interesting program. I should remind you that the easiest way to contact us is go to www. I put that there intentionally. www.itsanotherday.com. Okay, www.itsanotherday.com. It has all of our contact information there. You can get our website, our podcast there. You can do a lot of things on our website. So that's the easiest way.
Do a little dance.
Yeah. A little seltzer on your pants, yes. Anyway, anything else you want to add before we wrap this thing up?
I had something, but I forgot. It just went
in one ear and out the other. Well, I know one thing.
Flew right over my head.
I know one thing you never forget. That's how to end the program.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about a nice bagel or a cup of coffee. But aside from that, I would say, you know what? That is a good idea. I want to go and I want to get my bacon. Well, I want to get my egg, steak, and cheese bagel. Get that together, get my coffee. I'm gone. Hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
This is CRN America.